Hi. Many years ago, I can remember listening to a speech, just an audio speech, by the famous Earl Nightingale. And in it, he was referring to the optimism, I guess you could say, of young men when they first start work, and how each of them thinks the world's my oyster. I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that, I'm going to be a success, etc. But by the time they get into their 40s, they become disillusioned, and very few, perhaps just a few out of 100, maybe 3 or 4%, actually do become the successes that they thought they would become. Now, what's this got to do with you as a retiree? As Earl Nightingale said, the rot sets in, generally in our 40s, when we realise that these ambitions that we had aren't going to come to fruition. And often those ambitions are to do with our working environment, the corporation we work for, the department, whatever organisation it is. We thought that if we worked our way up to a certain level of incompetence, as they say, promoted to your actual level of incompetence, well, it wasn't as satisfying as you thought it would be. I know in my own instance, I worked hard when I was working for the Australian Department of Civil Aviation. I volunteered to go to outback stations, volunteered to go up to New Guinea to get experience, etc., did all the various exams, and when I reached the position of a supervisory position, which I'd been after for some time, I was disillusioned. It wasn't what I thought it would be. In fact, I thought it's not as good as the ordinary operational type of work I was doing. Too much administrative type of stuff, not enough hands-on excitement. Now, I'm not saying that this would happen to you, but according to Arthur C. Brooks's famous book, From Strength to Strength, he points out that many people go through this stage of being fearful that they're losing their grip as far as their abilities to do things quickly and efficiently. They're not quite as good as they used to be. And he says that their liquid intelligence is now becoming crystallized intelligence, and that's the time we should make a change and start thinking about the second half of our lives and how we're going to use the second half of our lives, instead of hanging on and trying desperately to keep up when we know we are actually slipping down or slipping behind. If we realise this, if we realise that somewhere in our late 40s it usually happens, we start thinking about life, we start asking the question, what's it all about, Alfie? And this is the time we really need to think, well, half my life's gone. What am I going to do with the second half of it? We need to do this before we retire, as early as we can before we retire, and start setting up things which are going to help us in our retirement. Now, I know everyone's different. Some people it's just fun, beer and skittles, going to the races, etc. Don't give a lot of thought in particular to what their life is all about. Others, and I put myself in this category, have always had a passionate pursuit for purpose, if I might put it that way. What am I going to do? What Where can I be at my best? Where can I be happiness in my work? And for many years I always searched outside, thinking that once I got the job, I'd be happy. Not realizing that happiness is an inside job. You decide to be happy, and then whatever job comes along, you're happy in it. Searching to find that job that will make you happy certainly didn't work for me. I tried various occupations. Always I knew that somewhere in the long run, my purpose was, generally speaking, to endeavour to make other people or enable them to live happier lives. And this came into being more fully when I retired. I've now been more than a third of my life in retirement, and this passionate pursuit for purpose is now becoming fruitful. I'm now putting these videos on. They're being viewed by a lot of people like yourself. I hope you're getting something out of it. The point is, all of us are born for a reason. I know a lot of people don't believe that. Each of us has a purpose in life. That purpose might not remain the same throughout life. When we're young, it might be to raise our children, to grow up to be healthy, responsible adults. That will change. Then we move on to something else. It's not always got to do with our work, our paid work. As Stephen R. Covey says, we can build ourselves up climbing the corporate ladder only to find that the ladder was leaning against the wrong wall. It didn't give us what we wanted. But when we retire, we have this freedom that we've never had before. This is when we can do really what we want to do. But we need to think about that as early as possible. Start preparing for it when that late 40s comes along and we become disillusioned with life. Why are we disillusioned? There's something better for us. We know there is something better. We always know that there's something better for us if we can find it. Don't try to find it without, in other words, outside of yourself. Find it within yourself. Let your intuition, let your inner guidance well up and say, this is for you. This is for you, mate. And you'll know by the feelings that arise within you. Be very careful what you choose before you start putting your energies into it. But if you do search within to find that purpose in your retirement, I'm pretty sure you will. And once you've done that, you will have a long, happy, meaningful, purposeful retirement. And I hope you find it.